As longtime viewers may notice, I am back in my house now. I've returned from school because of winter break, so I'm still adjusting a few things, so I'm sorry if this video is a little awkward, but let's launch right into the Dragon Prince. In my last video on the Dragon Prince, which I made quite recently, I made an earnest plea for the creators to, if not give us more concrete information about the future of the show, then at least provide a level of communication with the viewers and fans that they have hitherto not really been doing. And lo and behold, very soon after I said that, they released this massive end-of-the-year update on the present and future of the Dragon Prince, so I'm going to take all the credit for them doing that. No, of course not. I'm just joking, but it is quite a coincidence, let's say that. It's been about a year since the last big update we got on the future of the show, so it's nice to finally have something concrete. It's nice to finally have something that provides at least a better indication of where the show is and when Season 4 is going to be coming out. That is something I've wanted for over 2 years now. Strap in, because the news, if you haven't heard it, is not as encouraging as some of us might like. The Dragon Prince's 4th season might not come out until 2023. For the record, that is later than the Avatar: The Last Airbender remake is probably going to come out. It is definitely later than the new Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings shows are going to come out. It is the year I graduate from college, and I dearly hope that if nothing else we get Season 4 before I graduate, although that is by no means certain at this point. I'll simply read the part of the announcement that y'all are probably the most interested in. I do recommend that you read the whole thing, and I will continue combing through it over the course of this video, but let me just read the following outright, so we can have a starting point off which to build as we discuss Season 4. We've still got a lot of work left before Season 4 is done, so it's a little too early to share a release date just yet. But we're currently looking to wrap up sometime in late 2022 at the earliest. This is significantly later than I anticipated. At best, at absolute best, we might get Season 4 of The Dragon Prince in time for the 3-year anniversary of Season 3's release, back all the way in November 2019. More likely, we are not going to get it until spring or summer 2023. I've already put that in context to some degree, but let me add a little more context. If you were 16 when the first season of The Dragon Prince came out in September of 2018, you are going to be 20 or 21 by the time Season 4 of this show finally comes out. Now, we all know that Season 4's pickup was delayed, and that most people on the team didn't know until it was announced at Comic-Con 2020. But even considering that, it does seem a little odd that we're going to have to wait for so long. This is quite bizarre, so let's dig a little deeper into the contents of this announcement. Let's see what we can ascertain. The rationale they provide for why Season 4 is taking so long is a little goofy. They say all the expected things about how animation takes so long, but they also acknowledge that, even by those standards, Season 4 is taking quite a bit of time, so they are trying to explain themselves. They say that it is taking more time because they are working on every season of the show, or at least every season of what they call this phase of the Dragon Prince, meaning seasons 4, 5, and 6, simultaneously instead of doing them successively. I find that quite odd. They say that this is atypical, but not waiting until one season is completely done before starting work on another season is quite normal in animation these days. Every time you see seasons coming out every 6 months or so, yeah, you have people working on seasons at the same time. Or even in the case of a show like The Owl House, that's much longer seasons. People were working on Season 2 before we see Season 1. Animation, as everyone says, takes a long time. So, the process from start to finish for making episodes takes significantly over a year. So of course it's common sense that you would work on episodes in a given season together. But it also makes sense that it happens that parts of future seasons are being written sometimes and storyboarded sometimes, while animation production is still going on in previous seasons. That is not particularly rare, especially these days when seasons are shorter and come out more frequently. So this overlapping process is done to speed up production. It does not result in production being slowed down. So that's a bit of a baffling comment. I assume the end of the year update that contains this information means significantly more than just that, although what exactly they mean I'm not quite sure. The letter says that a lot of the work, including animation, is being front-loaded for multiple seasons at the same time. The implication seems to be that they are decreasing the gaps between various seasons of the show, while increasing the gap between various phases of the show. For instance, between Phase 1, which was Seasons 1, 2, and 3, and Phase 2, which is Seasons 4, 5, and 6. This I don't doubt, but if it is a process that requires the work to be slowed down to this extent, I'm kind of wondering if that was the wisest process in the world. Again, I do not doubt their sincerity, but the structural mechanics that we're kind of given a peek into through this update seem a bit strange, at least to an outsider. And this feeling of strangeness is amplified by the letter's rather defensive posturing toward the, let's be quite frank here, overly ambitious project to create this vast universe for the Dragon Prince, even though we're less than halfway through the actual show. It's much different than when a franchise like Avatar tries to expand its world, because that franchise is founded on a wildly popular and acclaimed show, and another wildly popular and acclaimed show in Korra. So it makes sense to build off from those successful properties into spin-off territory. The Dragon Prince, a show that is still in the process of making its main show, is a bit odd in its choice to branch out this early. The letter dismisses the very real possibility that resources that could have better been directed, or at least more efficiently been directed, to the show are being spent on building out this universe. They say something to the extent of, oh, Season 4 is not being slowed down because we're making hoodies, which is rather dismissive and does not address the substance of the actual argument being made against them, which is that you only have a limited amount of time and money. And yes, you do have partners that will develop things like the Dragon Prince board game, but for things like the spin-off novels, or especially the video game, that requires a much more substantial investment that very reasonably could be thought to have taken away from the time and resources spent helping with the development of Season 4. Now, I don't know if this is the case. I'm not necessarily saying it is, but I'm saying it's a real argument to be made, and I don't know how to feel about the fact that they're being so dismissive about that. But again, no one is going to care about all of this strangeness once Season 4 of The Dragon Prince finally comes out and is loved by the fanbase, which I don't doubt will happen. But we have to consider that Season 4 might not be coming out for a long time, which just leaves us with our frustrations. Now, I don't want to sound like the letter is vindictive or dry or necessarily evasive, even. It's clearly written with a level of love and concern for us, the people who've been waiting for the show for all this time. That's quite heartening to see. Don't let anyone say otherwise. There are parts of the update that are quite wry. There are a few attempts at self-deprecation. These are people genuinely trying to stumble their way toward releasing Season 4. It is just a longer road than we expected, and probably a longer road than they expected. So we'll have to prepare for that going forward. I'm glad we finally have answers, even if they're not the answers we might necessarily want. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. This is probably going to be the last Season 4 speculative video I make for a long time, because number one, I've grown a bit tired of repeating a lot of the same points over 26 months, and number two, the purpose of those videos was to hunt for answers, and now we have a pretty clear answer that we're going to have to wait until late next year and probably until 2023. So mission accomplished in a sense. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Promise you that. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.